So it is not necessarily the case that they would support you in America or Germany, and that really annoys me, because why sign world rights when you're not then going to push an artist worldwide, and you're blocking them from taking any other route? You know, you don't release them in the US, but you don't let anybody else release them in the US either. I think that's criminal. And obviously you can put it in your contract that you can find someone else to release if they haven't done it for 6 months. But my God, if your album's been out for 6 months online, it's going to have done its job, you know, so it's no point then getting a license for America. So I think if you're a manager signing an artist to a major deal, you have to work it. You have to sit on them, and you have to kick ass, and you have to make sure that if you're doing a promo tour in America, that everybody that you're going to see knows you're coming and have got your records and have heard of you. You know, I mean, the Staves went to see their publishers in LA to meet the synchronization agents at their publishers in LA, and they hadn't heard of them. They sat there in the most embarrassing meeting they've ever had, because none of the music supervisors or anyone else that they had seen knew who they were. And, you know, we are no longer signed to EMI. We ended the deal. And that was part of the reason, was because it might have been a world deal, but it wasn't giving us that worldwide clout that we'd hoped for. But undoubtedly, you know, when it works, that works absolutely fine. I'd ask you to think, though, about, it's a lot more work, and your manager has to work very, very hard, but take an artist like Passenger, also a client of mine, who surprised the hell out of me a year ago when he came along and he said he had a #1 across Europe, because he'd absolutely disappeared off the face of the earth for 5 years. He'd gone to Australia to busk, because he'd been unable to get anywhere in the UK, right? He busked, and his old mate Ed Sheeran, it's nice to have old mates like Ed Sheeran, but you know, I put him on his, as a support on his tours. And gradually, all of a sudden, from nowhere, Passenger's got a #1 in every country in Europe, and he's now top 5 in the US. But they did it differently. They did independent license deals in every country. It's a hell of a job to manage it, because as you can imagine, you're dealing with lots and lots of different companies and lots of different marketing teams and all of that. But there's one label for the US, for Australia and New Zealand. Network's got it for the UK and some European territories. I mean, basically, it's a patchwork. And it kind of works because in every territory, you know that label wants this release. It is going to work it because they want it. They chose to sign it. Whereas if it's a major, they're landed with it, whether they like it or not. You know, they have to work with it. So although it's a lot more work, lots and lots of patchworks of independent releases can work. But you have to really, you know, really sit on it to make that happen. But this is kind of leading me into what other services major labels could, you gave me, thank you, the lead into this, which is the other thing that the majors are now doing. Because the 360 is kind of here to stay, but isn't really translating into massive amounts of money for them, they're now looking at what else they can do with all these overheads that they have, right? They're carrying marketing teams, international distribution and pluggers, sales teams. And because the majors are not selling as many and signing as many artists, there's very, very few major signings in a year now. All of these people are sitting doing nothing for a lot of the time. And so they've cut back on personnel hugely as part of their drive to kind of cut back on costs. But those that are left have spare capacity. And so now what the majors are doing is offering what they're calling label services. Practically every major's latest, in the last 9 months I would say, has been some form of label services. It's Sony's got Red, Caroline is Universal's, I can't remember what Warner's is. But they all are a similar model. And I actually quite like this as a model, although it's still too early to see how it will work in practice. Because what they're doing is offering offering you to buy services off them. You don't have to sign to them exclusively. You say, I've got an independent album that I've made here myself. I would like some help internationally with it. Could I please buy some international distribution services and marketing off you? And yeah, they're doing those deals. They're saying, okay, yes, you can plug into our international distribution scheme. You want to buy some press and plugin work? You want a bit of promotion? Fine, this is what it'll cost you. And because you're not assigned to them exclusively, okay, you don't get that massive push as if you were assigned to them, but you can pick and mix what it is you want from them. So if you're quite happy recording the record yourself, you don't need their help with the recording costs, then perhaps you just want distribution from them. And you want to use their clout and their reputation to get some international distribution. So you say, thank you, I'll just have the international distribution services, please. And actually, it seems, early days, it seems to be working.
If you were going to offer that as a label, why wouldn't you just try to sign a deal with them? Is that a countable benefit for the label? Is it just so that they don't necessarily have to, if they're not sure on them or whatever, they don't want to tell themselves to them, they don't have to, or?
In some cases, they are acknowledging the fact that the independent sector is now quite strong and the DIY sector is quite strong. So people are saying, I don't need major labels, I'm going to actually make and record and release a record myself. So what they're saying is, okay, so we get these guys DIY in anyway, could we make some money off it by offering them some services that we've got anyway? We've got this distribution network set up across Europe, why not offer it to the DIY guys? They're possibly artists that would never sign to a major, so they're never going to be in the market for a major deal, possibly because they're not commercial enough, or because they're just not major label material, you know. They're niche, for example, and they just want to target that, you know, maybe they're thrash metal or something, which is only going to go down well in Scandinavia and parts of northern Germany. I haven't quite a good thrash metal practice, actually. But so part of the reason is that they've never signed them direct anyway. But it is less of a commitment on their part too. They are not committing advances to the artists, so there's no upfront money to the artists on those deals. They're not committing to support them on tours or anything of that kind. They're just literally providing a service. Yeah.
If that option is available, presumably, you know, the labels are only going to choose people that they think are suitable or good enough. But at times, would the label risk their reputation to the highest bidder, kind of thing? Like if someone came along and said, "Oh, I'm quite willing to pay for your services. They're this much," even if the album that they're offering the label isn't that good, would the label still take it, or are they really? So they just do it.
It seems so. They're not applying A&R creative decisions on this, as far as I can see.
But when that damages their reputation, then, you know, if they release something that's not that good.
You know what? I think they're past caring. Honestly, they need to survive. And you and I, because we're in this business and we're interested in this business, might notice, right, that that album only sold 5,000 copies. What the hell was it doing being released by Warner's distribution, right? We might notice because if we have an interest in this. Joe Public out there ain't going to notice. It ain't going to impact on the kind of, you know, the corporate PR. The shareholders are not going to notice in the small print, in the shares, in the end of year reports and things like that. All they're going to want to know is that their shares are going to make a dividend this year. So as long as there's enough volume going through that is actually, you know, generating revenue, it's really all that matters in the bottom line for the majors.
Sure.
So as far as I can see, they're not taking creative decisions on this. They're just literally saying, you want these services, you can have these services. Now just to give you, in some ways they are kind of reinventing the wheel, which is actually what this industry does, is almost nothing new under the sun. 360 wasn't really new, we pinched it off a really useful group. The independents and the independent distributors have been offering label services for forever and a day. That's what they do, you're just giving it a different name, right? You're saying it's a distribution deal. I could have gone to Believe Digital or Absolute or one of those guys and done a distribution deal. I probably wouldn't have got physical distribution, you know, across Europe. I certainly could get, you know, Believe Digital would do me a lovely digital deal, and do very well on it. So at the moment, the majors are actually competing with the Absolutes and the Believes and those, and actually Vinyl Factory these days, which is coming through rather nicely, I'm pleased to say. Some very interesting deals. Those independents are offering the same services as the majors, so there is a bit of a competition going here. So what the majors are going to have to do is to say, we are offering you something slightly more than this, which has to be an international reach, I think. Because they're charging more. To get a label service distribution deal is costing about 25% of the dealer price at the moment. If I go to Believe, I can probably get a physical distribution deal for about 20%. So, you know, there is actually a financial difference between the two at the moment. I know Henry, the guy behind Absolute, is absolutely furious that the majors have taken their moral high ground with these label services, because he reckons that's what he's been doing for the last 20 years. So you know, so why should the majors suddenly be getting all this positive press off the back of it? I think the common theme between the 360s and this is essentially we need to get money into the coffers from whichever way we can. We all